What's going on, guys? This is episode 1 of the Redeemed Wretch podcast, and I am really excited to be recording this finally and putting this out. If you've been following me on TikTok, I've been talking a lot about this topic that we're going to be talking about today, but in a more robust, deeper explanation of it. I took me a minute to get my stuff together and get this recorded, and a lot of you have been asking me if I was going to do podcasts or longer form videos. So it's finally here. Take some time and some work to put these together. The shorter videos are a lot easier, obviously, to record and pump out. So I'm excited to be doing this. But today we are going to be talking about a topic that, if you've been following me on TikTok for a little bit now, I've been talking a lot about it, and it's pietism. And I want to talk about this because pietism has been shaping Christian culture for a really long time now, quietly in the background, pretty much. And it has been a huge source, probably the biggest source of burnout and anxiety and this constant self-doubt in your walk with God. And a lot of you may not have known or been able to put a name to these feelings that you're having, because that's a lot of the comments that I'm getting on these videos on TikTok. Is the common theme is like, wow, I have been feeling these things for a long time and I've never been able to put my finger on it. And so for a lot of you, this word pietism is very new to you. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about pietism. And now I'm not just throwing around a fancy theological term to sound smart. I think that when you understand what pietism is, where it came from, and how it seeps into the church, you'll start recognizing it basically everywhere. As an old friend once said to me, once you get the toothpaste out of the tube, you can't put it back in. And more importantly, I think you'll be able to see why the gospel is so different and so much better. Pietism started in the late 1600s in Germany. And at this time, the church had grown really cold and formal. And people were essentially just going through the motions. And lots of doctrine was being taught at this time, but not a lot of heart. So a lot of pastors started emphasizing personal holiness into their preaching. Really pushing prayer groups and living out your faith in visible ways. And here's the thing, those are good things. So that's why pietism was attractive at first. It brought this warmth back into the church. But like most movements that started as a good correction, it went too far. So over time, the focus really shifted away from Christ and his finished work and onto you. How well you were doing, how much you were growing, how on fire you were. So it becomes less about what Christ has done for you and more about what you're doing for Christ. So when talking about pietism, I want to clarify there's a difference between pietism and piety. So what is that difference between pietism and piety? Well, piety is good. It's godliness. It's loving God and wanting to walk with him. It's a life shaped by the gospel. But pietism takes those outward expressions of godliness and turns them into the measuring stick for your salvation and maturity. So it basically says your assurance comes from looking inward at your devotion instead of outward at the cross. Piety says, I pray, I read my Bible because I love Christ. Pietism says, if I don't pray and read my Bible enough, maybe I'm not really saved. So if you've ever been in a pietistic church, you might not hear the word pietism, but you'll feel it. So it is thick in the air of these churches. And in these churches, these pietistic churches, rarely does anyone confess their sin, confess that they're struggling, at least not honestly, because in these churches, in these pietistic cultures, if you admit that you've been battling the same sin, maybe for years, or that your faith feels dry, people might start to wonder if you're even a Christian. You learn pretty quickly to wear a mask, to smile, to always have that God's been teaching me so much lately story ready at hand. And over time, the culture becomes one of performance instead of grace. And pietistic preaching, it often reinforces this culture. The sermon might have a quick mention of the gospel, but it's usually tacked on at the end, like small print of a contract. Most of the sermon is about what you need to be doing. Read your Bible more, pray harder, be more consistent, serve more, sin less. And because those are all good things in themselves, it feels spiritual. It feels biblical. But if the law is front and center and the gospel is in the background, people walk away thinking, I'm not doing enough. I need to try harder. One reason pietism sticks around is because it gives us something to do. We love having something to do, something controllable that we can look to, kind of like as a checklist with our relationship with God, and feel like we are doing something, like we're in some sort of control. And pietism makes the law feel achievable. If you just grit your teeth hard enough, like you can do this thing. And that's comforting for a while, at least. For a while. But the law never stops demanding. The goalpost always keeps moving. And eventually you will be burnt out. You will be burnt out, you will crash. You either become prideful because you think you're nailing it, you're crushing the Christian life, or you end up absolutely crushed because you're not, and you feel and you are aware that you're not. And here's the thing. It's not wrong to strive for obedience. In fact, as a Christian, we should desire to obey God's law. But the fuel for that obedience is not guilt. It's not fear. It's gratitude. Gratitude for what Christ has already done. Now, the answer to pietism isn't to stop caring about holiness. It's to put holiness back in the proper place, which is fruit of the gospel, not the root of it. So when we look to Christ, we see the one who perfectly obeyed the law in our place, the one who died for all our sin, all our failings, and the one who rose to give us righteousness. And when that reality takes hold of your heart, obedience stops being about proving yourself and it starts being about loving him. Gratitude changes us in a way guilt never will. So if you are exhausted, if you're exhausted from trying to measure up, I want you to hear this. You don't obey to earn God's love. You obey because you already have it. So I want to close with this. Pietism will keep you on a treadmill forever. The gospel invites you to step off and rest. Not rest as in laziness, but rest in knowing that your standing with God isn't up for debate every week based on your performance. Christ is enough. His work is finished. And from that place of security, you are free to love, you're free to serve, and you're free to walk with him. Not as a slave trying to earn approval, but as a child who already has it. That's all I got for you today, guys. That is Pietism. It's a killer. It is an absolute killer and a destroyer of joy. And so if you found this helpful, hit subscribe, like the video. There's going to be a lot more videos coming out every Monday. Every Monday I'm going to be posting these and talking about relatable stuff and things that a lot of us have felt. A lot of us who have grown up in the church, or even if you're new to the faith, there's a lot of feelings that we have that we just don't say out loud. And that's not how I do things. I poke the bear. I shake the bee's nest. I don't think that's how that saying goes, but you know what I mean. And I like to talk about these things. So we're going to do that on this channel. I'm going to say things out loud that a lot of us have been feeling for a long time, and we're going to talk about them. And I want to build a real, authentic community that loves Jesus, but is also honest about their struggles and how hard this is sometimes. And so I don't want people to feel alone. I don't want people to feel alone because a lot of times in our struggles, and because the Christian community tends to not be real about their struggles, you feel like you're the only one who is having these feelings or struggling with these things, and you start to feel crazy. So my goal of this channel is to tell you that you're not crazy and that you're not alone, and that there's a lot more of us out there feeling the same way. So subscribe, like the video, share it, and I will see you on the next one.